Hi, if you're watching this video, you certainly want to make a multiplayer game or even learn more about Bolt. Today, we'll learn about the Photon Bolt loops. It will come handy for the next episode when we'll speak about commands. So let's start and talk about the basics of Bolt loop. In Unity, we have a loop that is named fixed update, and Bolt uses a parameter to manage. It's called simulation rate. Bolt will automatically set Unity's fixed update rate to the simulation rate specified in the Bolt settings. Bolt then will run also entirely of fixed update internally via the Bolt pull component, which has a low script execution order, so it runs first. This is used for execute commands, simulate controller, and simulate owner. It's also used for transform extrapolation and everything else that uses fixed update. Simulation rate helps you to handle the rate at which Bolt pull is called. Then we have network rate, which determines how many simulation ticks occurs between sending a network packet. By default, Bolt set the simulation rate to 60 and the network rate to 3. This means there are 3 fixed update ticks per each packet. This means there are 20 packets per second sent by default and 60 fixed update simulation ticks per second. These settings help to handle the Bolt send part, which execute at the end of a fixed update cycle. So, if we resume in this graph, at first we have the Unity main loop that have the fixed update. In our fixed update, we first have the Bolt pull called because of his execution order. Next, we have the fixed update itself call, and at the end, we have, due to the execution order, the Bolt send part called. So, here we have the graph with the mentioned methods that we have seen here, but here is the current entire graph that we will talk about. So first, let's begin with the left part, the Bolt pull. When we are in the Bolt pull, at first we'll have the part with the universal plug-and-play technology that makes server creation easier. Next, we have the received network packet that will execute for each packet and that will handle at first the creation and destroy of entities. And next, it will manage the update of the control status of entity. Next, we have the update entity simulation. So this one will execute for each entity. In order to be executed on your entity, you need to have a script that have an entity behavior on it. So let's begin the execution order for our entity. So at first, we'll have the update of the state property, here signified by the update remote property. Next, we'll have the callback calls that will call the callbacks attached to the property of our state, here signified by the invoke property callback. Next, we have the simulate owner. This is a fixed update dedicated to the owner of the entity. Then we have execute command. This one we'll talk in the next episode. Next, we have simulate controller, another method like simulate owner that is only executed for the entity controller. Then we have another execute command for the next episode. And at last, we have a new invoke property callbacks that will simply be called, in my knowledge, only if you have changed any property on your entity between the first invoke property callbacks and the execute command, the last one. And this is the end of the update entity simulations. After this one, we have the invoke events that is simply everything that we talked about earlier in the other episode about events, and this one will simply execute events. So the next step after Bolt pull will be the fixed update call. Simple as that. And at last, we have the Bolt send, which will be executed for each connection, and this one will simply handle the part about making packets to send, which is determined by the previous parameter, which is the network rate. So here at first we'll have the write command that we will see in the next episode. Then we have the write global events, which we have seen in the last episode about global events. Then we have the calculation of entity event priority. This is an optimization that we'll see in the optimization episode. And so we have next the write of the entity events. Then after this one, we have the calculation of entity state priority. This one is also in the episode about optimization. And so after the calculation, we have the write of the entity state. Bolt send is simply the process of a packet creation. Simple as that. And this is all that we wanted to see in this episode. Thank you for watching. Remember to check our social media. Soon we'll have a Steam page for our game, Vandalhalla. And of course, remember to code every day. Have a nice day and see you next time.